Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Meeting of Brookline Select Board for September 16th. The time is 6:30 p.m. First up is, well, first I guess I'll clarify. Physically in person here in the office are myself, Dave Jones, Glenn Tanza, Bruce Mello, also Guy Tanza, videographer. Online is Shelby Brimmer, folks from Fact TV, and also Leanne Parker. Also in the office physically is Wynn Clark. Changes to the agenda, I do not have any changes. Gwen, any changes to the agenda? No. Bruce, any changes to the agenda?
I want to add a discussion, let me think of our treasurer.
A discussion?
Yeah, just some information I found out today about our treasurer.
Okay.
No, it's not going to be anything as
It's not something
disciplinary.
that we need in executive session?
No, I
to
don't
think
think
it
so.
would be appropriate? Okay.
I don't believe so. It's just some information I got.
Okay, we'll add that as 7B at the end. Shelby, any changes to the agenda for you?
Nope, I'm all good.
Okay. So scheduled members of the public, Leanne Parker is on the Zoom call for 6B, which we'll be getting to shortly. There's no other scheduled members of the public. Unscheduled members of the public, I guess the only unscheduled member of the public technically is Wynn Clark, who's here, who delivered bids for the plowing and sanding and sand. Moving on to approving the minutes from September 2nd. I should add that Peter Barris has a conflict tonight. He's on another meeting, so he's going to transcribe from the audio and video like he has done at other times. So I'll pass changes along to him. I had very few changes on the minutes, just Archie was not here, so we'll have him removed from the scheduled members of the public. And then on the second page, I think there was a D in required when it should have just been required. Otherwise, that was the only changes that I had. Gwen, did you have changes to the minutes?
The only one I noticed is just a couple commas because it read funny until I realized it just needed some commas.
Okay.
Under Mark Bill's road supervisor, very last line, it said a sign had been ordered to replace that, the one with missing post and all. It meant missing post and all since the mowing.
Okay.
But when you read it all together, I went, what?
Okay.
That's the only thing I noticed.
Okay. Bruce, any changes to the minutes?
Yeah, I noticed when we're talking about the painting, where is it?
Page 2?
Yeah. Trisodium is spelt wrong, wherever the hell it is in there. Two M's. That's all I saw. It's the third line under old business SLP painting. The very first word. Trisodium is
Trisodium.
spelled wrong.
That's too sciencey for me. I wouldn't have known it was wrong. Shelby, any additional changes to the minutes for you?
No.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from September 2nd as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bruce. All those in favor of approving the minutes from September 2nd as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so those are approved. And moving on to 6A, hey Mark. Mark Bills has joined us in the office. Moving on to 6A, new business plowing, sanding, and sand bids. It is now 6:35. We have received one bid for winter plowing, sanding, and salting from A.S. Clark and Sons, and also one bid for winter sand from A.S. Clark and Sons. We scanned and sent those out to I guess just Shelby, who's remote for this, so that she can see the same thing we're looking at. And I'm opening the bid for winter plowing, sanding, and salting, which, as I said, is from A.S. Clark and Sons. We submit the price of $33,200. I guess I'm just going to ask to clarify this, Win, because there's actually, what I hope is an extra zero in there, because this actually says $332,000. Am I correct that it's
You're correct.
actually, okay, so we have confirmation that there's an error in the typing, that the bid is actually $33,200 even. For plowing, sanding, and salting of town highways, recycle center, meeting house driveway, and town parking lots. For winter 2021, payment paid in 4 installments as in the past. Basically a quarter of it, January 1st, then February 1st, then March 1st, then April 1st. A certificate of insurance will be provided upon acceptance of this bid. They also say we will hold bid price for winter 2021-2022 at the same price of $33,200 if you choose to do a 2-year contract.
I'd just like to explain the increase.
Sure,
It's mostly,
please.
our insurance went up drastically this year. I mean, everybody's did, so we had to, everything reflects it, unfortunately, but that's where most of it's going. Archie and I won't be any richer.
I guess let's, so obviously this is the only bid that we've received.
What was it last time? I'm sorry if you said it.
The last 2 years, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was
$800.
It's $800 difference
$800, yeah,
per year.
right. It was 32.4, something like that.
33.
Right. Well, so I guess an initial question for people before we make any motion is what people's feeling is about whether we want to do just a 1-year contract or whether we want to lock in for 2 years as we did 2 years ago. I'll just weigh in first and say my opinion is we should do it for 2 years. I think it benefits the town and also the vendor to have that certainty. But what are other people's feelings? Gwen, what's your feeling?
I think I like the 2 years, that way, we've got a plan, and it's worked in the past, so I think it's good.
Bruce, what's your feeling about 1 year versus 2 years?
In light of the level funding, that's basically what you did, other than the insurance cost. And in light of the work that they do, I'm definitely in favor of going to 2 years.
Okay. Shelby, what's your feeling about 1 year versus 2 year?
Yeah, I'm fine with 2 versus 1. I just had a quick question about, only because we just didn't do this bid last year.
Right.
So I was just wondering, do we have to have more than one bid, or are there only so many times we can have? I'm just kind of curious because I feel like I haven't seen a lot of these. So.
No, I mean we put it out for bid and attempt to get obviously as many bids as we can get. It's not uncommon that we might only get one bid. 2 years ago, we only got one bid. For several years before that, we got 2 bids usually. But we're under, we put it out to bid. If we only get one bid and want to accept that one bid, that's perfectly acceptable.
Okay, yeah, just curious procedurally,
Sure.
but yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, you've explained the cost increase, and that seems reasonable. And I mean, you guys could have expenses increase next year, and I see nothing wrong with having a locked-in price for us, that we don't have to worry about that increase.
Right.
Plus, we don't have
Sounds
to
great me.
advertise it.
What was that, guy?
Plus, we don't have to advertise it.
Right, exactly. It saves us the, the time and some cost of doing the RFP. Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we accept the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons for $33,200 for a 2-year contract for winter plowing, sanding, and salting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Gwen. Is there further discussion from anyone? Shelby, any further discussion before we vote it? Okay. Then all those in favor of accepting the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons for $33,200 for a 2-year contract for winter plowing, sanding, and salting, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, then we've accepted that bid for 2 years. And then moving on to the one bid that we received for winter sand, which is also from A.S. Clark and Sons, for the sand bid for winter 2020-2021. It says we bid $21 per yard for 3/4 inch winter sand delivered to town yard and mixed with town supplied salt and piled in shed. This is for 14 cubic yard loads delivered at the request of the road supervisor. One initial question I have is, did you by chance bring a sample
I did,
of the sand?
truck.
Okay.
I'm glad to go get it.
Yeah, do you want to, just so we, if you don't mind, Wayne, thank you.
How does this reflect compared to last time, plus,
It's a good question. Let's discuss that when Wynn's just running out to his truck to get this sand sample, which he did bring with him. But Mark, off the top of your head, do you remember what we paid last year for winter sand?
I thought it was 19, wasn't it?
I don't actually.
What's this
have
price?
it
I
in
was
front of
thinking
me.
it was the same, but
What's this price, 22?
21.
I don't have that.
21 per yard. Yeah, I actually don't have that. I'm trying to think of whether I have digital access to it. I don't think I
Wait, do you remember it was the sand 19 last year?
do.
Here's the,
20. Oh, you've got it.
well, I have a whole folder.
That's a beautiful bag of sand.
It's
Since we're doing the Zoom call, we'll take the opportunity to view the bag of sand.
You can
the
see that?
same sand, from the same vendor
This is technology for
as
us.
last year. And the vendor went up $1 a yard, so we passed that on.
Okay, so last year was 20 a yard, and now the bid is 21 a yard. Mark, do you want to peruse the sample of the sand?
I don't see.
Since Wynn went all the way out to bring it in, just to,
Yeah, I can see that it's equally as good as last year.
as what we got last year, which I think everyone was very pleased with the quality of the sand that we got
It's great.
last year.
Yep. I
And
like
we
it.
found,
I believe the bid 2017, 2018 was $21 a yard.
27, 2018?
Yeah, that's the only one I found right here.
yeah, it was from different vendors.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know where it is.
So you're happy with the
Yeah,
sample?
there's some really good,
Yeah.
both outsides, stone and grit.
Mark, can you hold that over and I'll just take a shot at it?
And
We're getting all kinds of video of the sand.
We found that the foresters sand, especially during the
Thanks.
storms, used to stick.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which definitely, I know that in not last,
Oh, yeah.
not
Yeah, the
the
slope
last
was
few
nice
years,
for
but
that.
in years that
This
past,
is
not
so put in there just right, it looks nice.
necessarily from you guys.
Because it's not
We
too
had
fine.
issues if we had too fine
No,
of
it's
sand.
got the fines, but, you
But it's
know,
got
there's
solidity
another,
with it.
other size,
Right.
up to 3/4 inch.
Right, so it's not gonna melt the
So
lead.
you get some traction on there and it'll stick to the ice. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good.
Then sensing little disagreement or concern, at least for discussion purposes to start, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons of $21 per yard for 3/4 inch winter sand. Is there a second?
One second.
Seconded by Bruce. Any questions or concerns about this? We'll just go around real quick. Gwen, any questions or concerns about it?
No.
Bruce, any questions or
No,
concerns
no,
about the
good to
sand?
go.
Shelby, how about you? Any questions or concerns about the sand bid?
No, I feel like we reviewed it very thoroughly.
We did. No one can fault us for that. Okay, then all those in favor of accepting the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons for winter sand at $21 per yard for 3/4 inch winter sand, signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, then we've accepted that bid as well. Anything you wanted to add, Wynn, since you're here?
Because I'm on right now
Cool.
with the public paper.
Thank you.
The same as we've always done.
Nice. Well, thank you for the bids, as always, and for all the great work you guys do for the town.
We'll look forward to you being on Zoom or whatever tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I will talk to you tomorrow. Whoop, careful.
Wayne, thank you.
Thanks, Wynn.
Anyway,
Have a
Take
good
care,
night.
Wayne.
Okay. Moving on to 6B, the Meeting House, what I've called Meeting House heating and grant proposal, which may or may not be completely accurate to what Leanne wants to talk about. But Leanne Parker is here to talk about that, so Leanne, I guess I'll just pass it to you, and you can let us know what's going on.
Okay. So, I think it's accurate, what's on the agenda. There's two items to talk about. The first one that I wanted to talk about is the Renai heater going into
Turn on this.
the meeting house.
Oh,
We
she's
have
on.
met with Rick Perkins. I guess it was his third visit to the site over the years. He's given us a bid of $3,400. That includes the heater, running the lines, basically to where the heater will be installed, and also run a line over to the kitchen to where the stove hookup would be. He's advising that we put the Renai heater on the, I guess it would be the south wall of the wooden addition. We wanted it under the windows or on the wall with the windows, but can't do that according to code. So he's gonna place it on the wall a little ways away from the corner. And he's gonna remove both of the existing furnaces or heaters that are there. And he's gonna test the heater once he has it hooked up. There's gonna be some question about the electrical access, whether there will be enough cord to plug into the existing outlet, or whether we'll have to do something to connect it through some electrical work at that time. So I'm here to answer any questions about that particular happening. It's due to, he's due to come in on the 24th of September. And Dan Fowler is going to meet with him, I believe it's at 10:30 in the morning.
So Leanne, when you say, so the south wall is the wall that faces the school?
No, it's the south wall, the way I'm looking at it, faces the brick building, the back of of the sanctuary. So, or wait, is that the north?
No, it's the, I thought it was the north wall.
No. I think it's the south wall, so you come, the windows are at the back, the 3 windows.
Yeah,
And this is the wall to the left of those windows, where the same wall as the heaters are attached to.
the same wall.
Okay, so we're talking the same wall that the current old heaters are attached to.
Right.
But
That would be west.
but at the north end of the building facing the town office. Yes, no.
That's a question for you, Leanne.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little hard for her to hear.
That's at the north end facing, that would be facing the town office, correct? At that end of the room.
Yeah, exactly. Town.
No, the way
Right.
that,
Okay, just a moment, I know I asked you a question, but let me clarify my question. I know where the
I have a
heater,
map here too that I can refer to.
I know where the heater was.
You
You're
know where the
talking-
heaters are, the 2 heaters that are going into the chimney, the wall with the
Yeah,
chimney on it.
yeah. You're
This
talking,
is the wall with the chimney.
right, going down further. Past the,
Hmm?
going down further past the chimney? On that wall? Or,
On that wall, but not as far as where the chimney goes. You couldn't put it on the
Okay.
wall with the windows,
So
which
in-
is
so in
the
between-
wall out of which,
so between the old heater and the chimney? Do I have that right? Well, put it this way, the width of the sanctuary, you're talking about halfway? Is that what you mean?
right.
Yeah, okay, I know what she means. She's talking halfway down the building. She's not talking all the way down the end. Here's where the heater was. She's talking right about in here.
Right, if you know where the pass-through to the kitchen is,
Yep,
if you're in the kitchen and you're looking out the pass-through,
you're looking straight at it.
you're looking at that wall.
Yep. Yep, I understand.
Okay.
It's basically halfway in the room,
Alright.
but a little bit to the right of the old heater.
Okay.
A bit, it's 10 or 15 feet or whatever.
I guess one other quick question, and then we'll go around and see what other questions people have. But is everyone on the meeting house, was everyone on the meeting house committee in agreement with doing this? Is there,
Yes.
anybody have any concerns about adding this?
No, I think everybody's at the place where we're ready to see changes happening inside the building. I know it's been something that various people in the town have been anxious to get some heat going in that building as well.
Good deal.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, and then I'll go around and give everybody a chance, but Gwen, do you have any
So these
questions
two,
about this?
so these 2 heaters will heat the sanctuary and,
No,
or this is just in the, This- this is just in the kitchen area?
This is just in the wooden section of the building.
Oh, okay,
So this is to heat the wooden meeting house space,
yeah,
and including the kitchen and
Okay.
the bathroom.
okay.
And we are just to clarify, we are talking about one heater, correct?
One heater.
Well, that,
Any other questions, Gwen?
No,
Okay. Bruce, questions?
yes, in light that, let me ask it this way, did Rick give you did he separate the price, Leanne, or did he just give you one price? In other words, did he give you a price on the heater, or did he just give you a price on?
No, he gave us one price.
Okay, because initially he had given me a price in spring of 2018 of $7,200 for the entire building. That would have been 3 heaters. So if you, obviously you can't really divide it into triplicates because there's installation involved, but if you did, it would be 2,400. So,
That's true.
right, so in as much as that's like $800 for install. My only concern with it is that he hasn't given you a price for the heater, so if we wanted to add on later, we don't have that price.
That's correct.
But saying all that, I think it's great that you're trying to get this up and running. Of course, I've been wanting me to do that for 6 years, but whatever. I'm glad you're doing it. Let me think for a second.
Questions? We're focusing on questions
Yeah, I'm
on
thinking,
this.
the smoke is coming out of my head. I guess that's it. My only other concern is that if we were to wait till May and file for a grant with the Vermont Arts Council, we would have a response by like August, and we could have up to half that money, and this remainder of the $7,200 to heat that building. That's my only concern. I don't have a problem with doing it. I've been wanting to do it for years. I just think that it's always smart to be a little cautious about the expenses. And as much as, we've got a good chunk. We got like $26,000 in the kitty, if my memory strikes me correctly. Sarah gave me the total about 6-7 weeks ago. But, so we had just approved, I think it was $1,500 last time for historic.
Yeah.
So you add this on 10, now we're up to about $5,000, $4,900. So now we'll be down to 21, 22 grand. Everybody should know that.
I do have some current figures.
Okay, I'm good with it. Okay.
Currently in the kitty for us is $29,710.
Really? Okay.
100, of course, $1,500 now we've committed to the National Register. And expect that there will be some gas fees as well, which brings me to kind of an adjacent point about this, is that we have a meeting, or we have an appointment with Coda and Coda on October 7th for them to come out and look at the site. It was recommended by Rick to work with them. I guess he works with them a lot, and I do believe that the town has an account with Coda and Coda. So,
Yeah, sorry.
the only thing that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I'd like to try to finish questions about the actual purchase of the heater and the plumbing first, and I just wanna make sure everybody has an opportunity. Shelby, do you have questions around the purchase of the heater specifically? Or
No
installation of
questions
it?
about that.
Okay. Guy, you had a question about that?
I just wonder, is the heat gonna be used like on demand, or are you gonna keep a low temperature in the building now, going forward?
For this winter, just on demand.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So then, Leanne, you were saying that Coda and Coda, oh, sorry, Mark.
You can go in and out.
Oh, sorry. Leanne, you were saying that you have an appointment set up with Coda and Coda to, what is the purpose of that appointment?
Well, if they're gonna service the building, they wanna come out and take a look at it. They wanna do a site visit, and they want to discuss size of the tank. And that, so that they can give us a good idea about that, if there's any question.
Okay. And is the size of the Renai heater that's being installed, is it, I assume that Rick has recommended a size that is adequate to heat that amount of square feet,
Correct. presumably?
Okay.
Yeah, Dan Towler has a similar heater in his house, it heats the whole house.
Bruce, you had another question about?
Leanne, when did you get that figure of the $29,000? I'm curious.
It's from Sarah, she sent me, this on the 29th of August, I guess,
$3,000 different than
for
that.
period 2.
Okay,
So just to clarify, Leanne, I'm correct, right, that you got a $3,000 grant
oh, that's what,
recently, right?
oh, that's what's,
That's right.
that's a
Right.
3,000,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I think Bruce was hung up on the difference, and I think it's the grant.
Yep.
you
Oh, okay,
received.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions from anyone or concerns for that? Oh, sorry, Mark, you had a question.
Yeah, I just was curious, Leanne, how the new heater would be vented. Will it go through the wall, or will it be able to go into the chimney as the old ones were vented?
Gosh, Mark, I don't know. I didn't meet with them.
Okay, I just was curious.
I would assume that it's going to go through the wall, but I don't know. I don't wanna guess.
Yeah, it's okay, I just was, curious.
I don't know if it's going out through the chimney. I really don't know. It's a good question.
I would not be surprised if it was because it doesn't, it just vents out.
Yeah, I think it might be a self.
Yeah, I know that these new units, they only vent with like a plastic PVC.
Yeah.
4-inch.
They're so efficient, so I was,
Right.
just curious if it was direct through a wall or
Oh.
into the old chimney as the old ones are. And the only other question was, the BTUs that it produces, but obviously it's gonna be, plenty for the space it's, to be used in.
It's also centrally located.
So I think it's, great.
So Leanne, were there any other details or any other clarification you wanted to make on just that expenditure?
The only other detail that I wanted to share was that there is a Merrill gas tank there that we had a discussion about. I think it was with Gwen about, do we want to start paying rent on it or not? And we said we wanted to get rid of it. And this was sometime early in the summer, and then maybe the spring. So that tank is still there.
Okay, and presumably Coda and Coda will
Swap it out.
do something with that tank to swap it out for theirs or whatever.
Is that how it works? I'm not familiar with it. So I thought we had to call Merrill and have them come and get their own tank. But
There should be reimbursement if there's any gas left in it.
Yeah, I think it will probably depend on it. Obviously Merrill is now multiple iterations of a different company than they were.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
so there's no.
I'm sure the Coda and Coda guys will know how that gets handled, whether they need to contact Merrill or AmeriGas now, I think they are.
It's not clean gas anymore?
No, they got
Switch
bought
again?
again, yeah.
So there's no memory there of anyone contacting Merrill about it. So we'll just proceed with what Coda and Coda says.
Yeah.
I assume that contact had been made when we were when we were told that there might be a charge for it, and we said, no, we didn't want it. And that they were gonna come and take it. So that's fine with me. I don't mind, however we proceed. I just wanted to make sure that nothing was in the works with Merrill to remove that.
I have not heard anything about it personally, and I don't think probably anyone else has, looking around the room. Okay, then just for bookkeeping's sake, then I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the expenditure of $3,400 to install a Renai heater and do other gas line work at the meeting house. Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah, I'll second it. I'll go with it.
Seconded by Bruce. Okay, then for discussion on that, anybody have any concerns? I don't have any concerns about this. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to put
Move forward.
on-demand type of heat in there so that it makes the space more usable. It seems like a wise investment. Gwen, any concerns or thoughts?
No, I agree with yours.
Okay, Bruce, how about you?
I already stated mine about getting a grant. We can do grant for other things. It doesn't have to be just this. We can even get a grant for the other heaters for the other part of the building.
Shelby, how about you? Any concerns about this?
Nope, sounds great.
Okay. Then all those in favor of approving the expenditure of $3,400 for the installation of a Renai heater and other gas line work at the meeting house, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Leanne, you had another thing that you wanted to discuss, I think potentially about a grant proposal?
Right, I have been working on a grant proposal for the Vermont Historic Preservation grants for 2021. We have solicited bids for work on the steeple, which is painting, basically scraping, preparing the surface, and painting the clapboards, repairing where needed, and then putting several coats of paint on the top and repairing anything that needs to be repaired. I've got 3 different bids for that. And we're also asking for help with payment for flashing work, which we would like to get done at the same time if it's possible so that we can share equipment. But the bids are basically set up so that each bid mentions lift rental costs. I don't know how much detail you want, but all in all, the grant, the total amount of money for the full, both jobs is $23,745. We took the 3 bids that we have on the painting and averaged them. Averaged it out to $15,000. We had one for $13,400, one for $15,000, and one for $17,800. So I'm basically summarizing that. I'm asking for $15,000, or I'm attributing $15,000 of that $23,745 to painting, and $8,745 we have a bid for the flashing work. So that's where the steeple meets the roof. The flashing along that seam is in bad need of repair. So, like I said, the total is $823.45. We apply the $3,000 that we got from Wyndham Foundation for the work, which leaves us a balance of $20,745, and we were going to split that, basically request $10,372.50, which, if they go along with, then we have to match that, the $10,372.50.
Yeah, okay.
So I haven't done anything like this on my own before, all the way, so this is brand new virgin territory for me. I was there at the end of the grant process back in 2017 or 2016 when Bruce was on the board with me. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm proceeding correctly, and see if there's anything that you have questions about that maybe I need to be aware of.
I mean, I'll fully say I have no knowledge of the grant process for this, so I don't think I can really give you any input on it. Gwen, I mean, I'll say that the way you're going about figuring out the costs and figuring out what you're trying to get makes perfect sense. Bruce, I guess, I don't, what I'll say is I don't want this to become a grant workshop, so in a brief summary, do you think that there's assistance you might be able to provide to Leanne for the actual grant
I didn't do it last
application
time.
process?
Peter Meyer did, now, you know, I observed that. But I had several questions for Leanne. Leanne, did you say you got a bid on the flashing? Was it from one person?
Yes, I only have one bid on that.
Okay. And have you reached out to Historic Preservation by any chance to talk to them?
Yes.
Okay, and they said, did they give you an idea that they would cover, that they thought it was an okay idea to include painting in on the bid?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, we haven't talked any specifics on it. Tomorrow there is a Zoom call with Caitlin Calkins. At 2 o'clock that I'm gonna be on. Dan's gonna try and be on that too. So they're just basically talking to anyone who's thinking of applying to see if there's any questions. They're just gonna run down through it. So I feel fairly confident that anything that, I mean, I've got the grant basically written. And so it'll be really reassuring to be part of that call. I have a few just, you know, small questions that I want answered, but otherwise I do have their guidance.
Leanne, it's great that you've done this. I mean, you basically done 2 grants this year. That's a lot of freaking work. But anyway, in as much as how much I appreciate you doing that, just make sure you ask Caitlin specifically about the painting, because I remember 3 or 4 years ago, I had this discussion with her, and the way, I'm sure it was her, not Lisa Ryan, that said painting is considered maintenance. So I would really clarify with her, because what happens is you'll submit the grant, and it will, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but they usually have $200,000 a year. And they start at the beginning, and whoever wants 20,000, and it goes on down the line. And and they rate your request based on your need and based on what you're asking for. So it should be really, and they rate the request as to whether it qualifies for their historic preservation rules. So I would really be careful and ask Caitlin and clarify that she feels that it's a good idea to go along with that painting part of it.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. There are specific questions about the exterior of the building, as, one of the criteria. So I'm proceeding on that.
Okay.
With that in mind, and you know, it's a restoration as well, and
Right.
as we documented, and one of the great successes, I think, was to actually get the structural repair done to the bell tower, and this is just kind of finishing it off in my mind. So I'm hopeful, but we'll wait and see.
Sure.
It's hard work. God bless you.
Any other questions on that, Bruce? Do I want to give
No, I'm
Shelby a
good.
chance? Shelby, any comments or thoughts on the grant process for Leanne?
Sorry, if I could stop muting and unmuting myself. No, it sounds great. I obviously don't have a ton of experience either, but I guess I just offer, if you ever want somebody to read it over for a fresh set of eyes, you could always send me a copy, but other than that, just pure editing, I don't think there's much I can offer, and it sounds like it's great what you're doing.
Well, thank you very much for that offer, Shelby. I'd be happy to share it with you. I have it on a shared with Dan also. So let me let you know. Dan's gonna.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Dan has been on the shared drive and has kind of been walking along with me, but as you know, we're all kind of new to this, so it seems to be pretty straightforward. Just answer the questions specifically that they're asking is what I'm guided by.
Great.
So I do have you down, David. They wanted to know the person authorized to execute contracts for the project.
Sure.
And I have you down for that. I'm the contact and administrator, and the applicant is the town of Brookline.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's perfect.
So
That's
this
great.
is due on the 5th. I will probably get it tied up and submitted again for our first part of next week, and just get it off my plate. It'll be nice to say goodbye to it.
I bet, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would just echo along with Shelby. Yeah, I mean, if there's, you know, I'm certainly in the same boat that I've never done anything like that, but if you need an extra set of eyes or just whatever, any administrative support as you're getting it finished, give me a shout.
That'd be great. I was lucky to be able to follow the 2017 grant format. I have a copy of that.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's changed a bit, but that was really helpful. Peter did a great job.
Excellent.
Okay.
Anything else we can do for you while you're here, Leanne?
No, I think I appreciate your time, and keep up with the minutes, because we're gonna be churning away with some additional ideas this fall.
Excellent. Bruce, sorry, you had one last thing.
Yeah, just a statement. Leanne, when I was talking to Mo Momini, who's gonna be painting the school next spring, back a year ago, and I clarified, when I talked to him just a couple of weeks ago, I asked him again about it, And in light of what I told you about that the Historic Preservation Society had told me, or I remember them telling me that they wouldn't cover painting, I had actually mentioned that to Mo Momini, a year and a half ago, and I brought it up again several weeks ago. And he told me of a grant that Halifax Union Society Church was able to get for painting. I'm talking about the building. But it was a federal loan. It was a federal grant. So I guess my information to you is if you wanted to reach out to them, it's the Halifax Union Society Church. Maybe call their town clerk's office and maybe you might be able to, now as much as we're gonna be hopefully registered under federal, under national historical nationwide, this might be something you might think about that if we can get a grant for painting.
Right, if we get turned down for the painting piece, yeah, that'd be good.
But even on infinitum, even if you got accepted for that, I'm talking about the painting for the rest of the building, which inside is at least 15 grand without the addition. And we're not even talking about the inside of the sanctuary. And that's not even including the addition or the outside of the addition or any of that. So it might be worth it just to find out what happened with them and see if that opportunity would work for us.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Bruce. That's it.
Thanks a lot, Leanne, for all your hard work and
Without a doubt.
letting us know. And like you say, good luck getting the grant stuff done and let us know if we can help.
Thanks, Lena.
Okay,
Thanks, Mike.
good night.
Thanks. Have a good night. See ya. Okay. Next up is 6C. We were going to have a discussion about our hybrid remote and in-person meeting structure. I think possibly to Shelby's point when we had a brief discussion about it at the end of the last meeting, without Joseph here, I'm not sure if it makes a ton of sense to have a big discussion about it. But what do other people think? Gwen?
Maybe put it on for next meeting, so all members are here.
Yeah. Bruce, you?
I agree, I confess that I saw the letter and I saw the letter a second time today and I didn't read it. So I would like to read it before we had the discussion.
Sorry, we're talking about 6C, which is the
Vermont State
actual,
Police.
not the
Oh,
Vermont
excuse
State
me.
Police. This is about
Sorry.
about just discussing our structure for the remote and in-person
no.
stuff that we've been doing.
Sure, if you want.
Shelby, since you're the one who initially brought it up, how do you feel about whether we table this? And I'll actually
Yeah,
make a
I'm
point of
fine
reaching
tabling
back
it.
out to Joseph. I'm a little surprised that he's not here again, but
Yeah,
I'll-
I'm happy tabling it if everyone's okay with me.
with you, what? You cut out a bit there, Shelby. Sorry, can you say that again?
Drafting up like once am I caught up?
Yeah, you're okay now.
Is can you hear me now active real time? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Sorry, you're breaking up just your visual, so I was like, maybe you still can't hear me. So would everyone be okay with me trying to draft up something just so that we have, not that what I draft up has to be in any way what we choose, but just so we have a framework to discuss from to kind of keep it organized and allow us to kind of like yes or no stuff we want to be true or not true about our meeting setup now?
Sure, yeah, that's, I think that's a great
Okay,
idea.
cool.
Everybody
Okay.
else agree with that?
Cool,
That
then
it's a
yeah,
good
no, I
idea?
think it makes sense, right?
Okay, all right, so we'll put that back on the agenda for, I guess, our next meeting will be October 7th. Okay, so then moving on to 6D, which is the Vermont State Police letter response. So coming out of the discussion we had a few weeks ago, I basically just took a stab at writing up a letter back to Lieutenant French, emphasizing, like we all discussed, essentially the theme of we'd like there to be more of a presence of the Vermont State Police in our town, and particularly with a lot of the traffic issues, reckless traffic issues we've been having. So
This is good.
Bruce is rereading
I'm
it.
done.
Shelby, you've had a chance to read it through?
Yeah, I read it, I really liked it, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, then I guess I'll just ask people before we go to actually sort of locking it down. Is there literally anything, Gwen, that you
No.
want to change about it?
You did a good job.
No, I like it a lot, we're good.
Okay. Shelby, how about you? Any changes that you want to make to it, or?
No, my only thoughts were, would it be possible to extend something of a similar sentiment as this letter to, okay, never mind, I'm gonna say that after, it's irrelevant in the moment of passing, of approving this.
Okay. Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we approve, and I will communicate the letter as presented back to Lieutenant French of the Vermont State Police. Is there a second to that motion?
I second that.
Seconded by Gwen. All those in favor of communicating this letter back to Lieutenant French of the Vermont State Police signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. I will send him this via email and hard copy shortly. Okay, moving on to old business, building update. Bruce, what's going on?
Okay. Dave's lots going on, just about done, should be done this weekend. Last weekend, he put in a crown molding look that I spoke about, the entranceway that was rotten, and finished up trim on the windows and locks on the windows. We're gonna go around this weekend and check every window in the building, I think there's 35, to make sure that they function properly. I'm gonna bring in some carburetor cleaner and a vacuum cleaner, go around every window, because I have a feeling that once we stop, they won't get touched for 10 years or 15 years. So I wanna make sure that they operate rightly, and he is the man, Dave is the man. If there's something wrong, he'll know, because he's worked with these windows in the past. So that's that. I'm doing some painting on the outside of the trim to get that ready for molding next year. It's just a stain kill and a primer coat. And I might even touch up some of the crown molding that wasn't painted last year, but we'll see how that goes. But when he and I are done, Dave and I are done, we're gonna walk around the building and look real closely to see if there's anything we've missed. But we should just be about finished. Then I'm gonna move on to, the things I talked about last time, which was the electrical downstairs and get Mark to come over for a little while and help. Mark, I wanna reinitiate that thing about the chimney that we didn't do last year.
Yep,
We'll talk about that later.
sure.
And I've got Lancet's analysis here, I'm gonna reread that when I'm not reading Michael Cohen's book, which is not a suck. And I'm gonna read through this again, see if there's anything else I missed, and once I'm done, then I'm hoping to set up a maintenance thing down in the basement near the wall where the plumbing is, just on infinitum and a permanent basis, and information based on what was done and what we should do every year. Oh, and also, we're going to, I have to call Jeffers to come in and service the heater within the next month. Once they start heating, I'm gonna have them come in and look at it, which we do every year. It was kind of odd, because when we had that lady that came by a couple of months ago, to inspect the building, and I never heard a word, nothing. I don't know what that was all about. But then we got this monster bill of $720, which really pissed me off, because that wasn't the quote she had given me back at February 19th, which you all got copies of, because I saw the CCs on it. And the initial price was $525, and I was expecting it because she warned me, a state unfunded mandate to recheck whether or not our system, whether everything was clear on our system related to what happened over in New York State, Hoosick and Bennington. That was a follow-up to that.
Yeah.
And
We knew we were gonna have to do that again.
yeah, and she said $525, and she had a call, and you also got copies of that. That was February 19th. $25 for coliform and $30 for nitrate, and she hadn't billed us for a inspection she did on, I believe it was August 18th. And that note on the February 19th said there may be extra testing required if, for instance, there was a positive result for these tests. And then she gave me the list of costs, and then we got a bill for $720. Okay. Anyway, I'm not happy with that, but I'm not happy about a lot of things, so whatever. So I don't know what we're gonna do going forward to corral this water thing deal, but basically we just shell, if we approve this, we just shell that $720 to tell us that we're perfect. Because if I read it right, I went through the whole.
It's a law, what choice do you have?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Right.
Got a gun
We
here.
don't have a choice.
We have no choice, it's a
I
law.
mean, unless we want the place to get shut down.
No, we don't want that, so we don't have a whole lot of choice of that, but I'm just hoping that that's the end of it. And then, did you say 7B to lead into the,
We're going to, yeah, but let's finish on building stuff first because
okay.
I have a couple questions,
Okay,
but we can.
okay,
Sorry,
part of the
go
building, okay.
Let's
part-
finish the building update
Yeah,
before we.
as far as the building thing is, then there was requests that I made about the budget related to that I'm not getting answers to. I think I sent you all a letter about that too, that list that I sent to Sarah.
Right, which we can get to in a second.
Okay.
But
Okay.
let me just ask a couple of
Yep.
things, because I know like one of the things that was on your list of questions to Sarah, which is what jogged it in my memory, was Susie, whether Susie's Peanuts had paid us any money for wood chips,
And
which
the lights.
jogged my memory that we have not received. And I don't know if we at this point are wanting to try to get, remember, we were gonna try to get from Tom Bloom another load of wood chips to put on their playground equipment, which we've never gotten. So
Correct.
we've never put any wood chips on any of their equipment.
Okay,
So what I would say is the wood chip delivery that we did get and we did spread exclusively on the town-owned equipment,
I got you.
they shouldn't
You're
have
saying
to
it's the
pay
next
us
one.
anything for that.
You're saying it's the next one, but she still hasn't forked over at least the $200 for the lights, for the light.
Yeah, I don't know about the bulbs, but I'm just clarifying about the wood
Okay.
chip part of it.
Okay.
And I guess I'm also asking the question, do we still think we're gonna do that?
Yes, well, if I can get a hold of Thomas Bloom.
The
Okay,
light is
all right.
a little late now,
No, it's not.
it's the end of September.
So,
There's only another month that the kids will be out there.
I don't know that
Matter.
I don't know that it necessarily makes a huge amount of sense
do
to
it
try to
this
put a
late
bunch
in
of
the year.
wood chips on something that are gonna have
Okay.
degraded largely by the next year, but
okay, well,
That's
whatever.
just my opinion.
Sure.
yeah, no, I mean, I kind of feel the same way, just given the timing. I mean, I feel it's unfortunate that we never did it, but it wasn't through lack of effort on our
Anyways.
part, I mean, it just hasn't worked out.
Well, 'cause the
Maybe
basic-
it's something we just put in the back of our heads as something we're gonna try to attack for them
Now,
next.
is this something we're
Summer.
required to do?
We aren't.
So if she wants it done, she can have it delivered,
Right,
put in there.
right. I mean, I think we had a bunch of conversations with them, and because we were in the process of doing it, and because we had access to
Yeah,
Gary's tractor and some stuff that were gonna make it easier, and the three of us were willing to help do all that stuff, it made sense for us to just go
Oh,
ahead and
okay.
help do
I got
that.
it.
But we can't do that if we don't ever get the wood chips.
So what
I mean,
you're
at this
saying,
point, yeah.
which is pretty accurate, in as much as that we clarified it was our responsibility to do the wood chips on our portion of
Right.
it. She basically just owes us $200 in just for the bulbs.
right.
Sure, whatever, right,
Okay.
whatever the bulb cost is it. She
Okay.
shouldn't,
Whatever the agreement was.
she shouldn't pay us anything for wood chips at this
Okay,
point,
okay.
because we didn't give her any wood chips.
Yeah, 'cause she asked me at one point, what do I owe? And I told her 300, and that's 2 months ago anyway. And I was just trying to find out from Sarah if it had ever been happened, if she put it in with a check, with the rest.
Before we move on to 7B though, one other question, building related.
Mm-hmm.
And is one of the, I think you mentioned this before, but I just wanna make sure it is. One of the things you have on your list is to clean the septic filter at the building? Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that occurred to me I don't know that we have a great sense at this point. I think we waited many years between getting the septic pumped. And then we had Steve do it maybe 2 years ago.
I think it was 3, but don't hold me to it. Okay.
I just want to have on our radar slightly, at what point do we think we are going to need to have that septic pump?
What, I can tell you what I
I don't
did with
know.
my septic system, of course, mine's not their septic system, is I actually took a 6-foot hole and went down in the septic to see how much it was in there. That's extremely helpful. If you've got a good activated system that's working, and they don't put a lot of grease in there, a lot of there's just vegetables and stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
so maybe when we go to clean the filter, we should also
Check it.
consider just taking a check. I'm pretty sure when we pumped it, if it was 2 years ago, it had been a number,
time.
quite a few years.
You got a
since
point,
it
because
was
I don't remember it being done when I
But
was.
I don't want us to forget that that is something we
Good point.
periodically are gonna have to do, even though we don't know it.
Well, I think we can determine that pretty easily with a stick, and if it's, you know, and if you're getting some sludge in there, you better be pumping it out.
Okay, anything else on the buildings
No,
specifically?
No, I believe I got it all covered.
Okay, so we've now added a quick discussion about treasure-related stuff under 7B, and so what is,
Yeah, as you know, I'm having problems getting answers to my questions specific to the budget. Then I heard from a very reliable source today that our treasurer's not gonna be run next year. Now,
okay,
I'll wait.
I'm gonna stop you right here, this is
Okay.
not, this is not an appropriate thing.
Look, I'm just concerned, we're coming into budget time, and I just wanted to see if we could reach out to her and talk to her and see what her intentions are, that's all. I
Okay.
really like Sarah.
Yep, I will say I've had a number of conversations with her. Guy's had a number, Gwen's had a number, Samara's had a number of conversations.
Okay.
I will say, yes, I am pretty much certain she isn't going to run
Okay.
again. She and I have discussed some ideas of how we might begin to make a bit of a transition, and
Okay.
there are some things that she's going to do towards that end.
Okay.
But the other thing I'll add is I know, and I'm not wanting to put you on the spot about this, but I mean, you did the list that you sent, and it may well be that those are things that you've asked her for
I have.
a long time ago or whatever. But I mean, the list was sent at 9:30 last night,
Well,
and she is not a full-time treasurer for us.
Okay,
She
sent me-
has other work to do, so I'm just saying,
She sent me
for
an
any of
email
us.
4:30 in the afternoon, so it had to be after that. My point is,
No, I know,
she was
but
only responding to a Gmail when she's sitting here in the office.
Right,
So if we have
which-
an issue or something, we can't reach her. That's my concern. I have no way to know how much is in our account for this, for the school. I could be 14,000, it could be 7,000, I don't know.
and you don't just ask her to give you a report
I
of the
did,
current
so-
balance, because what I'll say is, I asked her 2 days ago to give me a report of the current balance in the meeting house, and she sent it to me
Okay.
yesterday when she was in here working.
And she has in the past, but I'll give you the date. It was exactly August 29th, before the September 2nd meeting that we had. I happened to come in the office, I believe it was to drop off.
Now we're getting way off topic and something
No,
that
no.
might be best in an executive session.
No, I just asked her
Yeah.
then to send me, to do this for me, because I was making a presentation for the bidding on the September 2nd. I wanted the numbers, and I never received it. And that was face to face. That was on August 29th, because she couldn't do the payroll on 28 because she wasn't feeling well, which is good. And I didn't even know she was gonna be here, and I forget what I dropped off, if it was Dave Zalesko's girl, but I forget what my purpose of being here. She happened to be here, and I said, great. Could you do this for me, because I'm making this presentation, we're doing this bidding next week.
Okay.
I really need to know these things, and she never did it.
Okay, I would suggest, quite frankly, for any town official, not just the treasurer, I would suggest, and all I can say is my own experience, every emailed request for information that I have ever sent our treasurer, I have received. Maybe I haven't always received it as quickly as I wanted to,
I'm waiting.
but things haven't, so,
Let me ask you this, you saw my list
yeah.
that I sent.
I can get you balances anytime.
Okay.
Right, I mean,
And
there's.
did you have any objection to the way I put that through? I tried to be.
No, not at all. Like I say, the only thing I'll question is I had not actually seen you ask for that before in writing, and I don't think it's reasonable. And I'm not saying that this is what you meant, but I'm just wanting to make sure we clarify that our treasurer, like all of our positions, are extremely part-time. And I don't expect our treasurer to be able to respond to a request necessarily within 24 or even 48 hours. Because this person is extremely part-time and has another job and doesn't necessarily have the ability to access files or even their email when they're not in the office. That's just the reality of the business.
I extremely agree with you.
So, and I understand that you requested these things previous to that, but I'm just saying specifically about that email.
I've always given her
needs to
plenty
be-
of lead time and have never beaten her up for, I wait and wait and wait. You know, she's got it in writing, she's got it in a Gmail form. At that particular time, it was verbal. because-
Okay, and the other thing is, I think let's have a separate conversation.
Yeah, okay.
Offline about
That's
this,
good,
and
that's
maybe I might have some suggestions on
Okay,
ways
we can work that out.
to help
Okay.
that a little bit.
Okay, I'm good with it.
Okay, all right, moving on to summary reports, Mr. Tanza, what's going on?
As you know, we're getting ready for the election on November 3rd. The Secretary of State will be mailing out ballots on the week of September 21st. I've asked Julie to send an email out, email blast, and also on our website is underneath local news, you'll see all the information you need about the election. So that's moving quite well. The offices have been busy. We're still locked down in the sense that we're only allowing people to make appointments, and until we get any guidance from the governor, we will continue in that vein. But things are running smoothly and everyone seems to be adjusting to these challenges, which at best are difficult sometimes, but most people are understanding, and we do go out of our way to try to accommodate them in any way that we can. So the office is good, the town office is good, everything's good.
Okay, what are you gonna need that day? You're gonna need help at night.
I have the same team, I'll talk about that as we get close to the election. I wanna do a little one-on-one training with 2 or 3 of the people that were here last time. I'm hoping that the same team that was here for the primary, I'm under the impression that you all will be here. And
Yeah.
this way we'll be able to get it done quickly, and I haven't seen a ballot yet. They are on the Secretary of State's website, but we haven't been delivered. They say they have to be here by tomorrow at the latest, so hopefully we'll have them, and then I'll be able to see what we have to deal with in November. But I think it's gonna be a relatively smooth operation. I think there's a lot of excitement. I think there's a lot of people that are gonna vote for the first time in a long time, so that's a good thing. And we will do the best to satisfy all the Secretary of State's needs and under these incredibly challenging times.
Amen to that.
Thanks, guy. Moving on to highways and roads, Mark, what's going on with you?
Well, as you've noticed, the paving was completed on Hill Road.
Looks great.
And I feel like it came out very well. I think it's very smooth transitions from the old pavement to the new.
Can I ask one question about the paving?
Sure.
This is a third-hand thing, or whatever, second-hand thing, but I know, and I think I left you voicemail at some point.
You did.
That morning, and I talked to Archie about it.
Yeah.
At some point, I have been told, although I didn't witness this, that there wasn't any traffic control going on by the guys, and it sounded like there was maybe some confusion. But then I talked to Archie, and Archie said there was definitely traffic control
Yeah.
that he had gone through. I don't know, everybody, okay, maybe that was just some weird isolated bit where the person had walked away, the flagger had walked away to smoke a cigarette or something, I don't know, but.
Okay, well, I apologize, I didn't get your message
That's
till late
Yeah,
day,
it's fine.
I'd already talked with Archie, who'd gotten the same message
Yeah.
from you, so we talked about it, and, so the paving was supposed to have taken place on Saturday, and because of the rain, the Thursday night before, it set them back on the job they had, so they ended up paving Monday. They
Monday.
came and set up their signage.
Yeah.
They did have traffic control. They're very organized, group of people who've, some of the guys I talked with were 35 years in the business on that crew. I talked with the guy in charge who we've been dealing with about the paving, and he came to do the paving bids. Normally, they call around to get trucking from independent vendors and other companies, and he said amazingly, they ended up with 17 different trucks that day. So there was a lot of trucks
Wow.
came to town. They started at like 10 after 6 in the morning.
Yes.
So they were still setting up by the time a lot of traffic came through, but because there was so much truck traffic, it was congested. And after I talked to the supervisor, he said that one of the flaggers ended up having to be on a conference call at some point. I don't know if that was first thing or it was late in the afternoon, but he was actually filling in for one of the traffic control. But when I actually came through, there was traffic control, and I actually was there and witnessed.
Cool, okay, great, thanks, yeah, that's good, I mean, it was just some
Yeah,
weird
it
little
was,
thing.
it was just in the moment, I guess,
Yeah.
but it got ironed out. And,
Cool, good.
I felt like the job went well,
Yeah,
other than that.
good, that's great.
So, we do have a little bit of shoulder work to do, which I will be working on. There's certain areas where we had them build up the road edge that will need a little bit of shoulder material, and I've talked with Archie about it, and we're gonna use the millings that were brought to the town
Great.
yard, and feeling like that will be a perfect material to hold up the shoulders where needed. Since our last meeting, I had gone around and I scraped 6 of our busiest roads that hadn't been scraped since early summer. They had held up, I feel, very well, but at some point there was areas that had rippled and washboarded and a few minor potholes, and I've always tried to re-smooth the roads up into a good shape before the leaves come off on our side roads, because once the leaves come off, it's hard to scrape the roads without pulling in leaves and making more potholes. So I've spent a few days with the grader. The sign order is now all here. It came in on Monday, UPS, delivered right to the garage. I happened to be there to accept the signs, so in the next couple of weeks I'll be putting out the signs that were missing and some new signs that need replacing.
Cool.
I've also been working on several other topics of highway maintenance, and I've played phone tag with a few of the guys. We've called back and forth, but haven't really gotten information yet. So I was gonna ask Guy tonight. I showed up late. I didn't know if anything had come to town that I should know about as far as information from any vendors that you can think of. No?
No.
Okay. Well, basically that's it. Between the paving, the scraping, the signs, and I have again, 4 or 5 other topics that I'm working at for information that I'll bring to the meetings as soon as I receive something.
Cool. Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Mark. Oh, sorry, Gwen has a question for you.
What do you do with all that milling stuff that you got? Because I happened to glance in there, that was a lot.
It was, it's more than I guessed at. My
Cause
own
there's no
individual
way a truck's gonna get in there to load salt.
Oh, we will either push it up into one pile in the corner,
Cause I
but
went,
I'm
man,
planning
that's a
to.
lot of stuff.
It is, and it's a nice material, I feel we can use it on our side roads.
Alright, so that's why you said you do some of the milling to do the side.
Right,
Good,
yeah.
great.
Yeah, I'm planning to utilize a good share
And
of
so you'll use a lot of it on the shoulder work that you're gonna do.
shoulder work and certain areas of some.
I
of
was
the
just
side
curious
roads.
when I saw so much.
Yeah, I've heard that it holds up very well on hills, you
Oh,
know.
great.
It's got a little more pack to it than
That's good.
gravel, and I'm gonna, with some of the stockpile that I have, I was gonna mix it a little bit and then see how it works, so it'll be somewhat of an experiment, the first part of it, but yeah, definitely it's a good asset.
Great, thank you.
Have you heard from any of the salt vendors yet? Because I haven't seen anything.
I have not.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard anything since the last time we
Okay.
talked about salt. I would expect that anytime.
Yeah,
we would
it's getting
receive
close.
something. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Mark, for that. All right, moving on to communications, emails. Guy had forwarded that we did get an email from Jeff Nugent at Wyndham Regional about the grants and aid program, and like we've done in the past, we need to give them a letter of intent to participate in it by the end of October, and then we see where we go from there. But so I'll put that on the agenda for probably the second meeting in October for us to just sign off on that, to give them the letter of intent. And then also, Guy and I got an email from Gary Livornia, and though I printed it out, apparently it collapsed his actual email, but Gary had sent an email wondering if a potential option for some
Solar
collection and
Telsa generator.
would be to possibly see about cutting down some of the trees that are next to the town office and potentially putting up solar panels connected to a Tesla battery that the town office could then use as a essentially a bit of a generator as a backup. Guy, I know you were mentioning that you've actually looked into that in
Yes,
the past, and what was the
Last year,
feedback you got?
2 years ago, I approached Green Mountain Power, and I looked at it again in the last couple of days because Gary renewed my interest. Again, I don't know the trees, if they are on Joyce Meals' property or if they're on the town property, but I don't think that's a real big factor because the Meals have always been cooperative anyway. The other thing is that to do the program that I think Gary was talking about requires a long-term commitment for the town to pay. And again, I'm gonna revisit that again, see if some of those parameters have changed, because basically it's a 20-year commitment that you pay X amount of dollars per month or so forth, and it ties in with the Telsa generator, which is a on-demand generator. As soon as the power grid goes down, the generator kicks in for an amount of up to 8 or 10 hours. So that's a good thing. So some things have changed, some things are the same, but I just want to let Gary know that I am following up on it, and I will try to get some more information for the next meeting.
Cool, that's great. Yeah, and you saw I pinged him back just to thank him for suggesting it. I mean, it's definitely something that's makes sense to look into and see if it might make sense for us. I'm just, Joseph, I think, just joined us. Am I right about that, Joseph? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We're down under, we're about to get to pay orders, just so you know, but, regular mail, finishing up on communications, regular mail, we didn't have any regular mail, other than the bids that we already opened. So moving on to pay orders, first up is the payroll, warrant, and we'll go around. Gwen, do you have any questions on the payroll warrant?
No.
Bruce, any questions on the payroll warrant? Shelby, any questions on the payroll warrant?
No, sorry, I'm super glitchy over here.
That's okay. Joseph, any questions on the payroll warrant?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm kind of still at work, so I'm not going to be able to look at them. I'll review them later, and if I have questions, I'll email something.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we approve the payroll warrant 2020-64 dated September 16th, 2020 in the amount of $1,336.38. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Bruce. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving payroll warrant 2020-64 dated September 16th, 2020 in the amount of $1,336.38 signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Joseph abstained, so approved with one abstention. So that's approved. Now we'll move on to the accounts payable warrants. Gwen, do you have any questions on the accounts payable warrant?
No.
Bruce, any questions on the accounts payable warrant?
No, I already stated my bitch. I'll leave it at that.
Shelby, any questions on the accounts payable warrant?
No.
Joseph, any questions on the accounts payable warrant?
No.
Okay. Then I'd like to make a motion that we approve accounts payable warrant 2020-63 dated September 15th, 2020 in the amount of $7,957.97. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Gwen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving accounts payable warrant 2020-63 dated September 15th, 2020 in the amount of $7,957.97 signify by saying aye.
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 Under duress.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
How else do I put it?
I'll abstain.
This is approved with one abstention. All right, that gets us through the pay orders and gets us to setting the agenda for next time. So we will revisit the remote in-person meeting structure discussion. We'll have the usual stuff. One question I guess I had, Mark, in the event that we might want to have a separate agenda item for it. I know you've been having trouble getting responses back on the line painting and sort of the speed, the stuff we've talked about, that some of the things that Newfane has implemented on traffic speed enforcement stuff. Do you think it's realistic potentially that you might have enough for us to have a decent discussion about it on October 7th?
Yeah.
I know a lot of it's out of your control as to whether the person, I suggest we put that on. So I'm gonna put on an agenda item of essentially just, road safety enhancements.
Would that include striping?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Line painting as well.
Yeah, because Mark's been trying to get details from the people who have done the speed limit painting on the roadways like Newfane has done recently. We were talking about, obviously, now with Hill Road freshly painted, perhaps in conjunction with doing line striping, we might test that out on that road. And then we've also had, Mark and I separately had some discussions about some of the solar powered speed limit radar signs that, again, Newfane has implemented in a few places and some other towns have. And Mark was pulling together pricing on that as to whether we might want to consider doing some of those that we might be able to put and move around a bit, because they definitely seem to have a significant impact on people's speed when they see the flashing thing telling them that they're going
Too fast.
20 miles over the speed limit or whatever it is. Okay, so we'll put on an agenda item to have some discussions about that stuff at the October 7th meeting. Anything else special for
The cellular discussion?
the cellular discussion?
Yeah, the generator that died.
Solar discussion.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. I've already forgotten about it. It was 2 minutes ago.
Sign of the rage.
Anything else you can think of, Glenn? Thank you for remembering that. Bruce, anything you can think of?
No,
other
just
than
the
usual?
regular.
Shelby, anything else you can think of for the agenda for next time?
Good for the moment.
Okay. Joseph, anything you can think of for the agenda for next time?
Not as of now.
Okay. All right, then I would like to make a motion that we adjourn. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Bruce. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.